Hey, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, then welcome. My name is Maddie, and today I'll be showing you the top 5 best books that I read this summer. Okay, first of all, I think I fixed my lighting issue because I brought in this huge-ass bright lamp that was sitting on my porch, and hoping that it would help make this room brighter, and I think it has, which is great because I feel like for my past few videos the lighting has been so terrible. It looks like I'm just sitting in the shadows, and that is an issue, so I really hope this helps. So summer is over, thank God. Thank God summer is over because summer is my least favorite season ever. I hate the heat. I hate feeling hot all the time, so I am so glad that fall is upon us. It's still a little warm here in California, Southern California, but it's not too bad. It definitely is getting cooler, so I'm so happy about that. But anyway, I'm going to show you the best books that I read this summer. I am going to be showing these in order from my least favorite, still my favorite of course, but my least favorite to my most favorite all-time book I read this summer. So I have a pretty good bunch of books to show here, and hopefully I'll be able to convince you to read them. So this will also and hopefully I'll also convince you to read them because these are really good books. Coming in at number 5, I have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This was the second book I had ever read from this author. I am slowly making my way through her entire catalog. In fact, right now I'm reading The Love Hypothesis, and that book is going so well. I think it is going to be a 5-star. It's really good. This one, though, was a 4-star. I really enjoyed this one. In this one, we're following our main character, Rue. She is a STEM student, and she goes out on this blind date with this guy named Eli, and they hit it off really well right away. But then she finds out that he is on the committee that will be taking over the company that she's working for. And so she could be potentially losing her job because of him. And so now they are enemies, and she doesn't like him at all, but she cannot forget their first initial meeting where they just had such a great connection. So they make this arrangement where they're going to have a kind of friends with benefits arrangement where they're only hooking up because they have great chemistry together and she doesn't want to give that up. But of course, she is slowly falling in love with him. This was good. I really love the connection between these two. I also think this book had a really healthy view on sex, which I always appreciate that because, you know, topics like that you don't really get to really talk about a lot in the real world. So for that to be discussed in books on what healthy sex looks like, I really like that about this book as well. And I also love the chemistry between these two, and I really enjoyed watching them slowly fall in love with each other. It was so cute. Next, I have my most anticipated book release of 2025. I am sad that it's only at the number 4 spot on this list, but at least it's still on this list. That means it still was a favorite of this summer, and that is Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. So this is the sequel to her book Lights Out, which I have talked about Lights Out in length multiple times in my videos on how much I absolutely love that book. It's the best book that I've read this year so far. It is amazing. So because of that, I had high hopes for its sequel, Caught Up. It did not live up to how much I love Lights Out, and I guess that makes sense because I put Lights Out on such a high pedestal that it's going to be hard for any book to reach the awesomeness that it is that book, and that goes for its sequel as well. But that did not mean that I did not enjoy this book. I still really liked it. So this one follows the second chance romance trope. One of our main characters, our heroine, her name is... what's her name? Lauren. Not good that I'm forgetting names. Her name is Lauren, and she is a cam girl. And she also owns, actually, I don't think she owns, she is one of the co-owners of a play club. And she used to have a relationship with Nico, who is the son of a mob boss. So he's in the mob industry, but he doesn't really like being in the mob world. He wants to get out of it, but he's only in it to please his father. So he has his whole backstory regarding that going on. And it turns out that he has been secretly following Lauren's cam girl work for a long time, and he's been messaging her, but she does not know that he is the one who's been messaging her, and she's been growing this really big connection with him. But unbeknownst to her, this is her past fling from high school, and they had a very bad breakup in high school where he really hurt her feelings. Eventually, she finds out that this was her past fling in high school, and they meet up again, and there's a lot of animosity between them at first. Lauren has a hard time trusting Nico because he hurt her in the past, but of course, they start growing that chemistry up again, and they end up falling in love. It was a cute book. It is also very dark. I feel like this book has a way darker tone than Lights Out had. Lights Out was so comedic. It did have some dark elements to it as well, but overall it was just a very comedic tone book. This one just felt a lot darker. We're dealing with the mob industry in this one, which is very tense. A lot of backstory between Lauren was really, like, it's tense as well. So this one just had a darker undertone, and I think I enjoy this author's comedic writing more than her darker writing, and so this one was just kind of a different vibe than Lights Out. I also kind of felt like Lauren was a bit unlikable at some points, so that also was a problem for me. But overall, I still gave this one 4 stars because I still enjoyed it. I really loved Nico, and I loved his whole backstory and getting to know about him more, because we got to know about him a little bit in Lights Out, but in this book you get his full story, and I really enjoyed him. And I also loved the sex positivity that was explored in this book because of Lauren's line of work. She really advocates for sex positivity and being able to not feel embarrassment for expressing your sexuality, and I love that theme that was discovered and unveiled in this book. The spicy scenes were a lot as well. They were a lot. Almost too much for me, but I mean, I got through them. Overall, good book. I hope the 3rd book in this series will be even better than this one. We'll see. I know it follows Tyler from the series, and that's a character that I really love from this series, so I have decently high hopes for it. Next, I have a book that I did not expect to give 5 stars because it was off to a rocky start when I first started this book, but this book grew on me, and it's become a favorite of this season. And that book is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. We are following 3 different girls and their perspectives, and they each live in separate timelines. So we're following a girl who grew up in, let me refer back. She is from the 1500s. We are following another girl who is from the 1800s, I believe. I think I'm going to say it's the 1800s. And then the last one is from 2019. And so we get to see 3 different timelines in this book. And this book goes over these girls' experiences turning into vampires. So you got some vampires in this one. It is paranormal as well, and I love books that have to do with vampires, so I very much enjoyed this one. This one was hard to get into at first because it does start off slow, and because we're following 3 different point of views, it was a little frustrating at times because you'd be following one girl's point of view, and their story would start getting really, really good and interesting, and then you would jump to the other girl's point of view, and I'd be like, but I was just really getting into the other point of view, like, a lot, and I want to know what happens with them right now, but then you have to start going into this other story. And so the back and forth kind of did get frustrating at some points, and it does make for a slower pace in the beginning of this book, but this is where things turn around. The end of this book had such a fantastic payoff because once you start seeing how all 3 of these girls' lives interconnect, it makes for an incredible ending. And what I realized after I finished this book is that we needed the slower parts in the beginning of this book in order to get that payoff at the end, because in the beginning you're just getting these girls' backstories, and that is when their character development is slowly coming through. And so what I would say, if this book is scaring you from what I'm saying, because it does start off slow, just be patient with it. I promise that in the end, it will all pay off, and the slower parts will make the ending make sense and really bring everything together. You just have to be patient with it, and I'm glad that I was. I'm glad that I trudged through it, even through the slower parts where I'm like, do I really want to finish this? I kept on going through it, and I'm really, really glad I did not give up on it. And the second half of this book was so good, and overall the entire book was so good, even the slower parts, after I sat with them for a while. And so this book ended up being a 5-star. It was very, very good, and I cannot wait to continue reading more books by V.E. Schwab because there's so many other books that I haven't read from her. So I think I have a new favorite author. I really love her. All right, my top 2 books are actually summer romances, so it's very fitting that I read them in the summer, of course. And so coming in at number 2, I have Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. This one is the sequel to Not in Love, which I mentioned earlier, but I loved its sequel a lot more than the first book. So in this one, we are following Maya and Connor, and they have a history that went off to a rocky start. So Connor is the best friend of Eli from the first book, and Maya is Eli's sister. And Maya has had a crush on Connor for the longest time, and Connor is kind of aware of that, but he stayed away from her because, for one, this is his best friend's sister, but also there is a huge age gap between them. I think there's like a 12-year age gap between them, so it's a big gap, and so he's kind of stayed away from her because of that, but they do have some history together. They have a past history where Eli has been there for Maya in her toughest moments, and she fell in love with him because of that. And as much as he tries not to show it, he has feelings for her too. But some drama happened between them, which I won't go over. You'll find out if you read this book, but they kind of had a falling out. It turns out, though, that they have to go on this trip to Italy together for Eli's wedding. So they have to be there for him. And so they're in like forced proximity together, and it's really awkward because of what happened with them in the past. But of course, while they're spending more time together, feelings are brewing. And it goes from there. This book was so freaking cute. I loved the romance between Maya and Connor. It was adorable. They have such a great dynamic, and I really, really love the banter between them because Maya would always joke with Connor about how old he is, and he would just be like, oh my god, just shut up about it and all that. And her comments never came off to me like creepy at all. Because for one, she's 23 years old and he's like in his early 30s, so it's not like she's young or anything. Like, they're both adults, so it was never creepy in any way. And so her comments and jokes about him being an old man was always so funny. They always made me laugh. So many parts of this book made me laugh. I loved this romance. I loved the tension between these two. There was so much angst that I just ate up. It was a great book. Definitely better than Not in Love. I will say, do still read Not in Love before you read this book, because I think you would benefit from knowing Eli and Rue's story before you read this one. But I will still say definitely read this book. If anything, just read this one. It was so good. I would highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. Lastly, my number 1 favorite book that I read this summer is Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. I've talked about this book a few times and how much I absolutely adored it. This was my first book that I had ever read from this author, and it definitely will not be my last. I want to read a lot more books from her because I loved this one so much. It was so cute. This one follows the fake dating trope, but it's more like the fake marriage trope, because these two, our two main characters in this book, have to fake a marriage. So in this one, we're following Scotty and Wilder, and Scotty finds that she is the only person at her workplace who is not married, and she feels really left out because of that. She really wants to fit in with her coworkers. So in order to impress her coworkers, she tells them that she is married, but one of her coworkers is like, well, then why aren't you wearing a ring? And so she furthers that lie by telling them, oh, it's because I'm not wearing it because me and my husband are going through a rough patch, so I don't want to wear the ring right now. So her boss overhears this, and it turns out that her boss's husband is a marriage counselor. And so her boss tells her, hey, why don't you and your husband meet with my husband because he could help you guys with your marriage problems. And she doesn't want to admit that she was lying, and so she goes along with it, and it's like, yeah, I'll meet with him, but she doesn't have an actual husband, so she has to find a guy to fill the role of her fake husband to go to this marriage counseling session. And so she ends up finding her friend's brother who is willing to go to this session with her, and Wilder ends up fulfilling the role. And so they go on this session together, but Wilder ends up signing them up for a marriage counseling camp retreat. And so they have to go on this retreat together, and they have to keep up the charade that they're married in order to go on this retreat. And it goes from there. Obviously, these two end up falling in love for real, and their whole love story was just adorable. For one, I really love that Scotty is older than Wilder. I love when the girl is older than the guy in a relationship. I just think it's so freaking cute. She's like 2 years older than him. I love that so much. And I adored Wilder. He is absolutely my favorite character in this book. He is definitely golden retriever energy. He is just up for anything. He is always really happy, really easygoing, just an overall good guy. I just loved him so much. He was so sweet with Scotty. Scotty is a little more reserved. She doesn't like to go out of her comfort zone, whereas Wilder is always up for like adventures and all that. And I really loved how Wilder was teaching Scotty to be more carefree, be more open to new things. He really helped her like go out of her comfort zone, which I loved so much. Scotty's past is really sad because she was married, but she did get divorced because her ex-husband was not giving her the attention she needed, and he basically just fell out of love with her. It's really sad. And so she has a very bad relationship with romance and with falling in love again. She just doesn't want to go through it again because she had a heartbreak. But I just absolutely loved how Wilder showed her that she is worth loving because he's willing to love her and he sees the value in her and he wants to love her. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Just the romance in this one was just beautiful. This book was a lot more, how would I put it, poignant than I thought it was going to be. Like, it's not just a fun, easygoing summer read. There was a lot of deep themes in this one as well that I was not expecting. It was just overall a great book. So funny. The comedy in this one was spot on. Like I said, cannot wait to read more from this author. Read this book if you haven't yet. I know summer is ending. Even so, read this book soon. Like, read this book anytime. It was so good, and I don't hear enough people talking about this one. It was amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. It will be one of the best books that I have read this year. There you have it, the top 5 books that I read this summer. Summer was an interesting reading season because I really did not read a lot this summer, and that seems to be the case a lot of the times. I feel like summer is the season where I read the least for some reason. I don't know, maybe because I'm just not relaxed enough to read because I'm always so dang hot in the summer. It's like I can't relax. That could be it. I always read way more in the wintertime, just how it goes. But still, I read a decent amount of good books this summer, so I'm really happy about that. Here's to hoping that fall will be a great reading season as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll be back with my next one really soon. Bye!